Think Verizon is expensive? Think again. Anyone can bring their AT&T or T-Mobile bill to a Verizon store today and we'll give you a better deal. So bring us your bill. Walk in, run in, pogo stick in, teleport if you can. Ride on the back of a rollerblading yak or fly in on the wings of a majestic falcon. Any way you can, bring your AT&T or T-Mobile bill to a Verizon store today and we'll give you a better deal on the best network. Based on Root Metrics best overall mobile network performance, U.S. second half 2025. All rights reserved. Must provide very recent postpaid consumer mobile bill in the name of the person redeeming the deal. Additional terms, conditions, and restrictions apply.
Morning decisions. How about a creamy mocha frappuccino drink? Or sweet vanilla? Smooth caramel maybe? Or a white chocolate mocha? Whichever you choose, delicious coffee awaits. Find Starbucks Frappuccino drinks wherever you buy your groceries.
Welcome into 49ers Access, and welcome back in for another Mock Draft Monday, and we're just a few weeks away, and today we're going to do our Mock Draft 3.0 for the San Francisco 49ers, and this time, all bets are off. Everything is on the table. We've done trades in round 2. We've done no trades at all, and today, on April 6th, we're doing all the trades we can possibly do that makes sense, that are logical, don't want to get crazy and have 30 trades and end up with 120 picks in this year's draft. But we want to make some logical moves to help the San Francisco 49ers ascend, like the last two mock drafts, from a playoff contender to legit Super Bowl contender as soon as this year. A lot of work to do, a lot of things to get done after a great free agency, after a phenomenal Easter celebration this past weekend. We get to dive into Mock Draft 3.0 today. So don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Drop your thoughts on every pick and move we make down below. Whether you like it, whether you hate it, sound off down there. And let's try to make the San Francisco 49ers a legitimate Super Bowl contender in 2026. So fire up the PFF Mock Draft Simulator and let's dive into Mock Draft 3.0 for the 2026 San Francisco 49ers. And there it is on your screen right behind me. The Las Vegas Raiders. Get Goodell out here. Chime in the boos. Boo! Boo! Goodell says, welcome to the 2026 NFL Draft with the Las Vegas Raiders on the clock. And you hear that sound, the glorious chime. Do-do-do-do, do-do-do-do. The pick is in. Who are they gonna take? Let's see. I'm assuming it'll be who they always take, that being Fernando Mendoza, but Kirk Cousins is now in the room. Does that change things for the silver and black? And of course, it does not. As we see the picks above my head, right above the screen. And now we're at pick 27 overall, with players like Caden Proctor, Cassius Howell, Omar Cooper Jr., Dylan Thiemann, all off the board. Kenyon Sadiq is long gone. Jordan Tyson, Akeem Mesidor, some of the players you may have said, Sterling, at pick 27, that's the guy I want. Those guys are gone. Off the board. Really a handful of picks earlier, but that brings us to the Niners at pick 27. And the players on the draft board that we can take, plenty of familiar faces here at pick 27. We have Denzel Boston. We have KC Concepcion, who are the two picks we made in mock draft 1.0 and 2.0 at this very selection. Other names include TJ Parker, Caden McDonald, Avion Terrell, Caleb Banks, Peter Woods, Colton Hood, Emmanuel Pregnon, Caleb Lomu, Lee Hunter, Zion Young, and Max Ihanichor. But like I said to begin the show, we can make some trades. And we have two teams buzzing us, bring, on the board. They say, hey, we want to move up. We have the Miami Dolphins calling us and the New Orleans Saints. Now, the Dolphins pick at number 30. They got that of the Jalen Waddle trade from the Denver Broncos. Then we have the New Orleans Saints who are saying, hey, we're at pick 42. What can we do to move up? Now, in this scenario, I think trading back only 3 selections is probably wise. The 49ers value the 5th-year option, albeit right now it doesn't seem like Ricky Pearsall or Mykel Williams will get that picked up. Now, a long time to go till then, but you got to prove themselves pretty soon here in the next couple of seasons. But we're at pick 27. The Dolphins are calling. They have plenty of picks. They want to rebuild, but they're saying, hey, we also want to move up if possible. The Dolphins did take a tackle, Monroe Freeling, at pick 11. So what do? Do we answer the phone for the Dolphins and at least listen or maybe accept the trade back? Or do you want to maybe say, you know what, Ronaldo Green could be on the outs. The cornerback for Raheem Morris' defense could make some sense. I don't know. That to me seems too rich. And if the Niners, who only have 6 draft picks this year, have a chance to trade back in round 1 and yet still stay in round 1, that makes the most sense to me. So if that's possible, I'm doing it. So let's pick up the phone. What do the Dolphins want? We'll give you 27. We'll take 30. Can you give us another pick inside the top 100? They have picks 30, 43, 75, 87, 90, and 94. So plenty to play with here. It seems like they don't want to give up picks 30, 43, or 75. But if we can get 30 and 87, that can make some sense. What if we got, it seems like that to me makes the most sense. Going from 27, trading back to 30, and picking up a pick inside the 3rd round at pick 87. Let's do this deal. See if they take it. And let's get things on the board. They wouldn't take it for whatever reason, even though it says they would. I'm actually going to, let's just do pick 90. That maybe is the most sense possible. We'll do pick 90, so we have picks now 30, 43, we have pick 30, 58, and now 90 in the first couple rounds. Go ahead and resume the draft. And the Dolphins took Denzel Boston, and the Chiefs took Max Ihanichor. So our draft board has somewhat dwindled down from 2 of the prospects you would have liked to take at 27 possibly. And yet there's still plenty of names on the board. There are now 6 trade back options, including one with the Jets, but I'm going to limit 1 trade per pick because, again, I don't want to get crazy here. So let's say, in 7 minutes, let's now dive into who we can take here for the San Francisco 49ers. There are some players. TJ Parker is there. Avion Taylor or Terrell is there. Casey Concepcion, Lee Hunter, Caleb Lomu, Zion Young, Brandon Cisse, Chris Bell, Jacob Rodriguez, Chris Johnson. A lot of good players on the board. I don't foresee the 49ers taking a cornerback in round number 1. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me, albeit Avion Terrell is a fantastic player. He's probably one of the best cornerbacks in the entire draft, behind, Jermon McCoy and Mansour Delane. You can make the case that Avion Terrell is, a top 5, top 3 cornerback. And if he's there at pick 30, because you trade back, maybe you do it. Funny enough, he is A.J. Terrell's younger brother, who Terrell with the Falcons. So there is some connections there. Maybe Raheem Morris is like, wait a minute here. I can get the brother of the guy I took a couple years ago with the Falcons. He's a dog. He's a playmaker. He had, versus the run, 8 forced fumbles and 36 defensive stops since 2024. So if the 49ers, say again, are on the outs on Bernardo Green, maybe they draft a replacement here and trade him. Their questions are, is he a slot cornerback? Is he an outside cornerback? Because he is 5'11", 180 pounds, which is pretty small. But I think there is reasons to believe that if you want to play kind of 2 nickelbacks, Terrell could be that guy for you. But then you can dive into Colton Hood, who's a bigger guy, 6 foot, 188 pounds. He's a guy that really good in man coverage. He can go stride for stride with receivers trying to get downfield. His zone IQ isn't great, needs some work. So he probably wouldn't play much in year one. And sometimes he'll guess. Now, that can be good or bad, right? There is a give and take with that. But I don't know if I foresee San Francisco taking a cornerback, thus leading us to who we always look at being receiver. There is KC Concepcion here. There is Chris Bell. Many people love Chris Brazzell in the first round. I don't understand that whatsoever, but to each their own. People dive into the edge rushing group. You have TJ Parker, who I don't really love too much. Zion Young, who I like a lot, wouldn't feel the biggest need for San Francisco and has some off-the-field problems. I think it's too rich to go or Mason Thomas here or Gabe Yakis or Malachi Lawrence, albeit Yakis of this group probably makes the most sense for what San Francisco likes to do, moving guys around from the inside to the outside. There's nobody really worth taking at the offensive line unless you want to take Pregnon, which I like Pregnon a lot. I just don't know if San Francisco values left guard that much. They signed a couple of free agents this year to play left guard or can play left guard for them. I wouldn't be against taking a guard. The Niners did, I believe, visit or watch like 4 Oregon games in person this year. So there is a reason to believe they do like the Oregon products. And maybe that is, Isaiah World or Dylan Thieneman or Kenyon Sadiq. I have no idea, but they sell a lot of them. And if they want to get left guard taken care of, you did pick up 58, you did pick up 90. Maybe there is kind of a best value here. If you are the 49ers, you're not going defensive line on the interior. You're not going Christian Miller or Caden McDonald or any of these run defending type of defensive tackles. You can go offensive tackle, but I see too much of this. People saying Caleb Lomu, which, okay, do you think Lomu or Pregnon are better players? Maybe you value the tackle versatility of Lomu over a player like Pregnon. I don't know if the Niners do. I don't think San Francisco views Trent Williams as a one-year player. I think they view Trent as long as Trent wants to play, he'll be a San Francisco 49er. And when we get there and he wants to retire, then we'll address the position. So I don't see them drafting a tackle round 1, round 2, in this case, round 3 now, since the trade back. I don't see it happening. I really don't. But I can see them going guard in round 1 simply because maybe they should. And you can find other receivers, I think, in the draft. And you know what? Let's have a conversation about KC Concepcion, because we took him in the last mock draft. And I like KC Concepcion, explosive. The yak ability's off the charts. He's somebody that you plug into this offense and you can see the ceiling raise, albeit you can see the floor lower somewhat. There is a world where if the Niners view Mike Evans and Pearsall and the rest of the guys in that room, Christian Kirk, guys that aren't yak players, which they're not, or guys that they want to pair with an explosive receiver like Concepcion, that's awesome. I can see the concept in their brain. However, that drop rate is terrifying. There's a world where Concepcion, despite all of the athleticism he has and the speed and the explosiveness he has, he never becomes a number 1 or number 2 or is like a high-end 3. And I don't think you draft guys that there's a world you think, or they could only be a high-end 3 in round number 1. You can say, Sterling, what about Pearsall? Had the Ayuk thing not gone the way it did, I think we'd view Pearsall differently because you can see the vision. Now, was it a mistake? I don't think so. I think there's still room to improve and grow, and Concepcion certainly has that luxury as well, having not played a single down in the NFL, but I'm just not sure that's the guy you take at 27 or 30. Now, it's all dependent on the draft board, but do you want to take a guy that has a 10% drop rate the last 2 years where, yeah, you can manufacture him touches, but if he's dropping the football, what's the point? You can find more sure-handed guys later on day 1, day 2, day 3, and maybe even rounds 4 and 5 that may not have the same explosiveness, but can fill a need for you. And the Niners always draft for need. Now, I don't think a player like Concepcion in particular is a draft need for the 49ers. I'd much rather have Denzel Boston. I'd much rather have Maxi Honicher than KC Concepcion. Now, that's my opinion. I'd almost rather let Concepcion go by and look at a player like Chris Bell or Bernard or Skylar Bell, or down the board you can go with Dazon Stribling, or you can go even further, Kevin Coleman Jr., Josh Cameron, guys that, may not have the ceiling, but certainly have more consistency with their hands in their game. With that said, I kind of think it's between two prospects here if you're the 49ers. I think you're looking at Chris Bell from Louisville, who we now know San Francisco has at least considered at some point in time to take him or value him in the first round, which makes some sense. Or Emmanuel Pregnon. I do think Pregnon truly can be the left guard, and you can disperse guys around. There is no promise anybody they pick or sign this offseason becomes a starter. Robert Jones, Brett Toth, Connor Colby. And you can argue, well, you can get Bo Stevenson in round 3, round 4. Yeah, it's fair. You can find other guys, Jude Bowry later on in the draft too, Keelan Rutledge later. I totally get it. But in this case in time, would you rather take a receiver that has great traits but a much lower floor, or a guard that has a high ceiling, a higher floor, that can play for you, start for you on day 1, and you can plug next to Trent and it fills your guard spot? You improve your depth on top of that, and you protect your quarterback. That to me is what's important. Or you can go draft Chris Bell and find your, Deebo Samuel prototype in round 1 and have him for maybe 5 years. That's the debate for me. Now, should the 49ers see Chris Bell as that player? I don't know. I mean, 6'2", 220 pounds, pretty big guy for the type of receiver he wants to be. He's a playmaker. He can be an X wide receiver for you. The big knock is that despite him being able to eat in the short game and slants and drags and screens and, again, fill that manufactured touch bruiser, that is a better route runner than Deebo Samuel was coming out of South Carolina. He is coming off a torn ACL. Do the 49ers take that risk in round 1? That's the knock. Whereas Pregnon, really, not to say he's perfect, but it's like, at this case in time, at 17 minutes into the show, we're doing right now, I think Pregnon might make the most sense. Like, he's gotten better each and every year. He's played over, or nearly, over 30 games this season. Only allowed 1 sack the last 3 years at Oregon. Excellent in zone. He's, great pass blocker. He's somebody who has played 1 game at left tackle, 1 game at right tackle, 1 snap at left tackle. Played a handful of snaps at right guard, 1 snap at right tackle too, but played left guard for a lot of the time. And you go to his PFF profile, some of his best games are against the best opponents. You go here to Oklahoma State, Northwestern, Oregon State, Penn State. You go to Indiana the first time he was fantastic. Rutgers, albeit wasn't great there, but you dive into, later on in the season, he wasn't as great. And we can be honest, there was a playoff game against Indiana and against Texas Tech. But, I think there is reasons to believe that Pregnon, you can make a serious conversation that he can be taken inside the top 20. That a team might say, like the Texans, they see a 6'5", 320-pound, 24-year-old player, and it's like, damn! Like, this guy, to me, belongs in San Francisco. So we're going to take care of the offensive line here, going left guard at pick 30, trade back, get the extra draft pick, and you look at that on the board. You see players like in round 2, Zion Young gone, KC Concepcion gone at 37. You have people like Chase Basantes gone to the Ravens at 45. Keith Abney, who's fantastic out of Arizona State, goes to the Falcons. D'Angelo Pons, Gabe Yakis, Chris Bell, Chris Braswell go back-to-back. That leaves San Francisco now saying we need an edge rusher still, and we also still need, a wide receiver. Now, I think now is the time where you would go with an edge. You're at pick 58. We often have taken Romello Height here from Texas Tech, trying to fill that speed rusher role to pair with Mykel Williams. But I do think there maybe is a way or a world where Joshua Josephs from Tennessee creeps his way into the conversation. He's 6'2", 237 pounds, so around he's kind of the Cassius Howell height and size and weight profile, but more akin to how Height looks like from Texas Tech. He's around 6'2", 6'3", 230 pounds, so similar builds in that regard, but he has near 35-inch arms. You want a lane clogger, a guy that can get his hands on running backs and quarterbacks trying to scramble out of the pocket? That's Joshua Josephs. He has an 82-inch wingspan. If you can measure out 82 inches, that is like, what? It's insane. So I think for somebody who maybe doesn't have this like amazing pass rush skill set like a Hyder or Cassius Howell does, he does have the physical tools, the arm length, the size, the explosive first step to, I think, be taught how to be that. You go to his stats the last 2 years, he has 6 forced fumbles, going back to those long arms the last 2 seasons. He has high effort, he has fluid hips. Now, there are questions of why do you have 82-inch wingspans and 35-inch arms, but a 23.5 missed tackle rate? Why are you not finishing plays? John Lynch talked about in 2023, and it's kind of involved in the same discussion of not having over 20 sacks last year, right? You got to finish when you get to the quarterback. Why isn't Joshua Josephs finishing when he gets the ball carriers and quarterbacks? So again, there are some concerns there, but he's bendy, he's explosive, he has natural leverage. There's no power to his game. It's all speed. It's all, let me blow by you and get by you with my first step. He does sound like somebody that likely wouldn't be, how do I word this? He's somebody that has all the tools, has all the traits to be a speed edge rusher on third downs. Exactly what San Francisco needs. But he just needs the right coaching to guide him towards unlocking those keys and those tools. So there is somewhat of a, I don't want to say project label on him, but there certainly are, some questions, if you will. A lot of people like Dennis Sutton. I'm not the biggest fan. He's bigger, 6'5", 268 pounds, 34-inch arms. He can play the inside, he can play the outside. He has a good bull rush. He can be a puller on stunts. He's got a good first step. He has power to his first punch. But he kind of just his productions have been kind of steady, which that can be a good thing or a bad thing, but it does lead to maybe there being a lower ceiling to his game compared to a ceiling that Josephs or Height or Cassius Howell has, who went before pick 27 in round 1. There also is a question of why do you have 16 penalties the last 2 years? You're offsides, you're encroaching on plays. You cannot be that undisciplined and want to be a starter in the NFL. So those things can get cleaned up. But again, when you're diving into picking a player in round 2, you got to be really specific in what you're looking for. The other guys here, Derek Moore, like him a ton, but he is all power, no finesse. Now, that could be a good thing. 6'3", 260 pounds, 33 and 3/4-inch arms. He's a guy he's an outside stand-up linebacker. That's what he did at Michigan. So if they want to kind of use him as that Jalen Walker kind of de facto role, it isn't, again, a one-for-one comparison, but you get what I'm saying. He's just somebody who he wants the bull rush. He'll do the rip and pull through. He had some inside swipes to his game, but short strides, isn't a great athlete, hence why he is 6'3", 260 pounds. He just wants to get up in you and push you around and bully you. But the first step can use some work sometimes, so kind of get pushed back and then go forward with this first step. He's a solid run defender where you can maybe say there's a case to be made. He can be maybe a base down player for you where Height and Josephs won't be that in round 2. Cassius Howell won't be that in round 1. Then you can really talk about Height again, who we've kind of gone over plenty of times. We've taken the last 2 drafts. So you know who he is. You know why I like him. I think he's the more refined player on the board right now when it comes to pass rushing skill sets. Or you can go receiver, and you can say, we can push off edge rusher until the end. You have guys like Skylar Bell on the board here, who I don't know why isn't getting much hype. 5'11", 187 pounds. He'll be 24 his rookie season. But he is a exceptional route runner. He fits that kind of kind of that Pearsall role, if you will. Maybe that's why. But he's got 4.3 speed. He's got that third gear to lead defensive backs in the dust. He did play at UConn, so it's like, who did you truly play the last couple of seasons? Maybe nobody. And maybe once you get to the NFL, it's too big of a jump in year 1. Sometimes he doesn't fight through contact and play through contact. And you want to talk about drop rate, where Casey Concepcion, 10%, we're scared. Skylar Bell, he had 3 straight seasons before going to UConn of a 14% or above drop rate. Now, last year at UConn, only a 3%. So either your hands got better, your quarterbacking got better, or it's a one-off, and that could be terrifying and even more scary than Casey Concepcion. But he fights with the football, nearly a 65% contested catch rate. So there is a lot to like in regard to what Bell offers, but he isn't a run blocker. That's also involved here. The Niners did, I think they met with Antonio Williams at the Combine, I think, or maybe at a pro day for Clemson. He, like Bell, very similar to Ricky Pearsall in that regard, where I wouldn't even be shocked if they take him in round number 2 or 3. I think he's more of a day 2 or 3 guy, probably a mid-day 2 guy, in my opinion. 5'11", 190 pounds, 30 and 3/4 inch arms. He's that slot Z receiver. Him, like almost every Clemson product, it was like, wow, 2024 was fantastic. What the heck happened in 2025, where he dropped from a 75 reception, 904 yards and 11 touchdown year to a 55 reception, 604 yards and 4 touchdown season. So a lot of questions. He is likely a slot receiver, 30% from the slot last year with Clemson, but a great route runner, crisp in his routes. He can tempo his routes pretty well. He can find kind of soft spots in the zone and make you comfortable with that, going out there in a Shanahan offense and saying, hey, go out there and win me some games, make my quarterback's life a lot easier. He's somebody that can get open deep downfield. He's a good accelerator. He adds that third gear. But there are some inconsistencies in that. You want to see that more throughout his game of like, hey, if you're going to be out there as a slot guy and you're playing alongside Mike Evans and Pearsall and Christian Kirk at times, and maybe somebody else, Jordan Watkins, right? Can you be a legitimate deep threat for Brock Purdy, who wants to move the ball downfield? He has pretty reliable hands. He is a player that, despite being a deep threat, doesn't or is not a chest catcher. Too many times you see guys have his skill set and use their chest to catch the football. Casey Concepcion does that at times. Antonio Williams is a hand catcher. He's got soft hands. He's reliable there. he's a smaller guy, 5'11", 190 pounds. He plays bigger, but that small frame does impact how good of a run blocker he can be. And he has 39 career punt returns, but there has been injuries. So it really depends on, what type of player you like. You can go Elijah Surratt from Indiana and get that kind of true, proven, bigger-bodied player. You didn't get Denzel Boston. Do you want to take Surratt, who, is somebody that can get open? He's got sure hands, not a fast guy, but can play the slot. He can play outside. Rather consistent target for Mendoza last year alongside Omar Cooper Jr., somebody who is really hard to dislike, say, in round number 2 or 3. I don't know if he gets to round 3, but I think those are the options there. Now, it all comes down to what you value. You're not getting a guard in round 3 or 4 now because you took one round 1. Do you want to go with the receiver or an edge rusher? You're not going Bryce Lance here. I don't think Bryce Lance would want to go to San Francisco after how things ended with his brother Trey. So if I were to make up kind of a group of players, Joshua Josephs, Romello Height, Antonio Williams, those are kind of the cluster of dudes I'm looking at here. And it kind of depends on what you value. Now, you can trade back again. The Cardinals want to give you pick 65. I wouldn't be against that entirely. Right now, San Francisco has pick 58, 90, 127, 133, 138, and 139. So they have 6 picks right now. Maybe they can gain more and move things around. But San Francisco doesn't feel like a team that wants to jump around a lot. Or you can go crazy and you can get your safety here. Or you can go out and get Ji'Ayir Price in round 2 and say, hey, Christian McCaffrey, you wanted an RB2? He's right here. And Ji'Ayir Price is great. And I love him in San Francisco, but I just don't know if that's the guy you take. Maybe you do. Like, if you are talking BPA, that's the guy. Like, that's the dude you take. He's fantastic. He is phenomenal. And I don't really understand. Like, there's a chance he goes in the top 40. And I don't think that's crazy. This is a bad running back class. And I can see a team that needs one reaching. Look at teams on the board, like the Steelers may need one. Teams like the Vikings might want one. I don't know if Aaron Jones is the guy. They have limited picks, so maybe that kind of takes him out of the conversation. But, the Jets and Breece Hall and everything, the Dolphins, maybe they want to kind of move off of Devon Achane. There's some questions to be had. The Texans too. Joe Mixon involved there. I don't think they signed anybody else in free agency. Maybe I'm wrong, but there are some names where Ji'Ayir Price could be gone by this point in time. You can go Treydan Stukes, who I know it says cornerback here from Arizona. He's not a cornerback. He's a safety. He's 6'2", 200 pounds. He's 24 years old. He was a team captain for the Wildcats this year. After being a walk-on, he walked on and became a team captain. Now, he did suffer a torn ACL in 2024. But some say that he's a slot cornerback or he's a free safety. Maybe you can play both. There's reasons to believe he can be a true free safety in the NFL. He's got great ball skills. He's got 4.33 speed, good tackler, resilient on and off the field. Again, going back to being a walk-on to climbing up to being a team captain this past year with the Wildcats. He's aggressive in coverage. He's somebody who has his nose in every single play. He'll come a little bit too high as a tackler, but it's hard to argue with the stats the last 2 seasons, right? 803 snaps, 89.8 defensive grade, 86.1 coverage grade, a 91.8 single coverage grade, 85.4 grade against clean pockets, a 14% missed tackle rate, and a 76.4 run defense grade. A lot of people believe that Raheem Morris might be looking to overhaul San Francisco's secondary with a safety play two nickels. If this is the case, you can go Bud Clark, you can go Zakee Wheatley later on if they're on the board, or you can go Stukes here. But man, I'm really having a hard time. I'm debating within myself, do you want to go Jadarian Price? It's going to sound crazy. You'll hate me for it. But this guy is exceptional. Kick returner. There's a fumbling problem for sure. But he's got good build. He's 5'11", 203 pounds. He's excellent as a zone runner. He's got breakaway speed. He has excellent contact balance to fight through tackles. His strength, unlike Isaac Guerrero, is his vision. Understands angles, a patient runner. Excellent zone, like I already said. He's just a great athlete. It's rare you find guys like him that were backups behind Jeremiah Love, who is a generational running back prospect, and he's a great kick returner. So, like, if he's not getting on the field because Christian McCaffrey, well, you got him as a kick returner, which he can be equally as dangerous there. So, man, what do we do? What's the best value here? We traded back once. I don't think we can do it again. I don't want to get too crazy. Let's give ourselves 7 draft picks to work with here. Do we go BPA? You know what? We're going to get crazy. We're going Treydan Stukes, Arizona Wildcat cornerback / safety. You can sound off down below. Sterling, you're an idiot. Sterling, you're so stupid. You're so wrong, Sterling. What are you thinking? And to that I say, I have no idea. But we're doing it our way. We're doing it our way. You got a guard and a cornerback in round 1 and 2. It's not what you thought here. It's not what you came here for. But what you did come here for is a discount on your first purchase at SeatGeek.com. That's right, folks. If you want to save $20 off your first purchase, go to SeatGeek.com and use promo code right here, 49ers Access, 49 ERS ACCESS at SeatGeek.com to save yourself $20 off your first purchase, whether it's concerts, sporting events, MLB, the WNBA, the NBA. Steph Curry's back, folks. You want to see him live in person, go to SeatGeek.com. Find yourself a deal that is green, not red, not orange, but green. That means good. That means go. And when you're putting your card information, you're making your purchase, put in the promo code 49ers Access. Save money. Gas is expensive. Beer is not cheap. Food is outrageous. I was at Costco. I spent $440. Oh my God, put me out of my misery. But if you can save some money, it's always a good deal. So go to SeatGeek.com and save yourself $20 off your first purchase, and right back into our 2026 NFL Mock Draft 3.0. Okay, we put ourselves in a bind, but we're at pick number 90. Pick number 90. We haven't got an edge rusher, and we have not gotten a wide receiver. Let's go to edge rusher for a second and see who's out there. Who can catch our little eyes and make us say, who are we going to take? Now, I'm not the biggest fan of all these guys. Anthony Lucas could make some sense from USC, 6'5", 285 pounds. He's just not really what you want opposite Mykel Williams or kind of a company with him. Mykel Kamara, he's just like Mo Kamara, small, kind of going to get washed out. There is Jayshon Barham, who's 6'5". I just don't love a lot of these players. You can go Tyreek Sapp, but man, more of a run defender. Ooh, we may have put ourselves in a bind here, folks, but maybe there is a way out of this. And let's see. Ooh, I may have found a way. Let's see if we can work some magic. Let's see. I'm trying to think. I do wonder if the Niners want a project, like let's say the draft board falls this way. Now, I'll tell you this, I don't think the Niners will take a guard or a safety / cornerback, nickelback hybrid in round 1 and round 2. So, there is your caveat. But Rayshon Benny from Michigan, 6'3", 290 pounds, a little undersized for a defensive tackle. Maybe he can lose some weight. Maybe he can play the outside. It's asking a lot. I understand that. It's asking a lot. Maybe you bank on other guys just stepping up. Samuel Kawanu, Keon White. What else is on here? We got Dante Corleone on here. Yeah, we do. He's blood clots. I wouldn't take him at all. It's terrifying. Let's see what else we got. It's more of run defenders here. Let's see. Ted Hurst. We probably should have taken somebody else in round number 2. But sometimes the draft board doesn't fall your way, right? Sometimes you're just like, oh, crap, the guy's in there, which makes it good. Now we can kind of test, how we're feeling. We can test, where we're at here. Even Sam Roush is gone. We're screwed from Stanford at pick 90. But no, we'll make do. Okay, let's see what we're going to do. I think now is the time that we take our wide receiver. Wide receiver for the 49ers. We already talked about Antonio Williams. He's off the board. Where did he go in this mock draft? He went, let's see. He went pick 69. So he went about 10 picks after us. Funny enough, if we could reverse time, which we can, but we're not going to here. We could have traded back to 65, probably got another draft pick with the Cardinals, taken Antonio Williams, and likely still got one of the better safeties on the board. So good to know, but we're going to test our draft knowledge today. Going to get down and dirty in our 3.0 mock draft. Let's talk about Ted Hurst. I know Larry Krueger, good fan of the show, or good friend of the show, excuse me. He loves Ted Hurst. Ted Hurst, 6'3", 207 pounds, 33 and a quarter inch arm, so a long wingspan, 22 years old. He's that Z route runner. He can move. He can beat press coverage extremely well. He can get into space. He can stretch the field vertically. And his size, again, being 6'3", 207 pounds, offers a high ceiling that you don't often find in the later rounds or, on kind of a mid-day 3, late day 3 pick. And, he can make guys miss after the catch too. Like when you draw up a Niner receiver, a lot of Ted Hurst is involved or kind of, belongs there. And he's gotten better each and every year. Now, that said, he's got good size, but he doesn't play up to it sometimes. Kind of has that Chris Brazzell problem where people love what Chris Brazzell has at size, being 6'5", but you don't see it as much as you'd want to. Ted Hurst also has that problem. He's more a finesse type of receiver. He plays soft. He against physical defensive backs, so against Seattle, against the new Rams remade cornerback room, Ted Hurst will get bullied around, I think, sometimes, which isn't what you want. I think you'd maybe say Ted Hurst needs to gain 10 pounds of muscle, making him likely a doghouse candidate in year 1. And he had 13 drops the last 2 seasons. Haven't even mentioned yet, he played at Georgia State. So that's a big question. Now, you can go Malachi Fields here, who I think is a much more complete prospect than Ted Hurst by far. He kind of is this like B option if Denzel Boston's not there. He's 6'4", 218 pounds, true X receiver. He'll be 23 years old his rookie season. Unlike Hurst, unlike Brazzell, Fields knows how to use his size extremely well. He's got that bigger body and says, that's my forte. I don't have speed. I have my frame, I have my arms, I have my hands, I have my chest and my shoulders. I can bully guys out of the way. He'll box dudes out. He's got good hands. Again, about 4.5 speed, so not great. Maybe even faster than Denzel Boston is overall. He's not going to separate. That's not his game. And his release on the line of scrimmage is about average. So you're not getting much there. But with the ball in his hands in the open field, there's better flashes of speed throughout his game, and especially in his routes. But he can stretch the field. He's a great run blocker. The effort is exactly what will keep him out of Shanahan's doghouse, I believe, in his rookie season. He's somebody that, like I already kind of mentioned, he's a player that does things you don't see rookies do often. And that is come out of the draft and use their God-given body to make them a better player. There's a reason why he's been so consistent. He played 12 games the last 3 years, so 36 games in total. He's played in the slot. He can play out wide. He's somebody who has seen his target count dwindle with the growth of Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price at Notre Dame. But his yards per reception has increased from 14 to 14.7 to 7.5. He had one drop last year. He isn't a yak guy, so you're not going to get that, but he's 5 touchdowns each of the last 3 seasons. He's somebody who you're like, you know what? You may not be an A, but at 6'4", 218 pounds, like he attacks the ball in the air. He's got urgency. And that to me screams San Francisco 49er receiver that can play in the slot. So you want to replace Jawan Jennings, you got Mike Evans, and maybe you want Fields to become the true X receiver alongside or kind of behind him, waiting in the wings. But I do think Fields can slide into your slot and be a slot receiver for you. Kind of that clunkier, not as fluid of hipped slot guy like Shanahan likes behind or alongside Mike Evans and Pearsall. So that certainly is an option. And again, there's not many edge guys you like. There's reasons to believe that Fields will be gone, though, at your next pick. You're not getting the tackle here. There's no reason to do that. Let's see. You can go tight end for sure. You can go get your Jack Endries. You can Michael Trigg, Marlon Klein. You know what, though? I think we are going to go with Rayshawn Benny, man. He offers a lot that I like. A lot that I like out of Michigan. Ooh, what do I do? Do you go the receiver? Do you go the edge rusher? We're going to go Fields. It may be an overdraft to some people, but I want to get him. People like Jacoby Lane. I do not. Not my kind of guy. Ooh. Niners need to have a presence on the defensive line. You haven't gotten it yet. I know I'm kind of talking in circles, but this is what happens on draft day when your draft board dwindles down. You know what? I think... you know what? We're going to go Rayshawn Benny, defensive interior lineman from Michigan. And I think this will make up kind of for not getting an edge rusher. And then we'll go look at receivers here and tight ends. Okay, I like what I see. We can go to tight end. I think if this is your tight end board, you're running up and taking Jack Endries. He can kind of be your use check guy. He'll be your slot receiver. He'll help you again. So you don't get Malachi Fields. You don't get one of the receivers you like, but you improve tight end room on your board early. And now you're sitting here at pick 133. So we did back-to-back picks really fast. We have Emmanuel Pregnon in round 1, Treydan Stukes in round number 2, pick 58, nickelback safety hybrid. You got Rayshawn Benny, play inside. I do think there is a way he can play the outside in kind of in the fronts that Raheem Morris likes to utilize. I think there's untapped potential there because Michigan rotates their guys like crazy on the defensive line. So watch out for that. And then Jack Endries, he is... how do I word this? He's not going to be your inline tight end. There's not many of those in this draft. It's guys like Roush. It's guys like Marlon Klein from Michigan. But I do think he can be your slot receiver. He can kind of you can run 13 personnel with him. Isn't the best blocker, but I do think he meets the baseline for that. And that leads us to picks 133, 138, and 139. Now, in previous drafts, we've gone Emmett Johnson, running back from Nebraska. We've gone Marlon Klein, tight end from Michigan. We've already got a tight end, so he's off the board. Let's look at tackle, because I can hear you screaming, Sterling, Trent, McKivitz will be gone in 2 years. Let's look at tackle. I think this is probably the best value at this point in time, kind of in the 130s, round 4, if you will, for the Niners and the tackle position. You got guys like Jude Bowry, J.C. Davis, Isaiah World, who've taken Emil Wagner a handful of times. I wouldn't even be against trading back and getting Drew Sheldon from Penn State. I think he's a pretty good player. But let's talk about Jude Bowry first. He is the first guy listed on the board here for PFF out of Boston College. 6'5", 314 pounds, has 33 3/4-inch arms, so he does fit and fill the arm length threshold you want to see from your NFL tackles. He's played left tackle the last 2 seasons solely, but does have a handful of snaps at right tackle in 2023. The last 2 seasons at the ages of 20 and 21, over 1,200 snaps, a 68.2 pass blocking grade, so not great there, but an 85.8 true pass blocking set grade the last 2 years. Wasn't great last year. I'll be honest with you there as a pass blocker, but there is kind of a baseline. He's really explosive in his passing sets. He'll get back into his sets really fast. He's a great inside zone blocker because of his lower body. He has the drive. You can get off the line really quickly. So I think the PFF grades don't really tell the entire story with him. One of the bigger reasons why his pass blocking isn't great. So he can get into a stance fast, right? But his hand technique is so wild, so kind of uncontrolled. He has to refine that at the NFL level. And his footwork too. Again, he'll get into his sets, but sometimes his strides are a little too short getting there, and he can get kind of caught lacking. And I think for as fast and as strong as his lower body is, there's like nothing up top. That's got to improve. And I don't think his hands are as strong as you want them to be as a pass protector. So there is a little bit of this kind of project to him, but if you're taking a tackle, they're not going to play, or they're not supposed to play behind McKivitz or Trent. So you are taking a project-ish type of player no matter what, unless you do take a tackle left guard hybrid in the first couple rounds. So that's Jude Bowry. A lot to like as an end zone blocker, mainly a run blocker, which I think Shanahan believes if you're a good run blocker, I can work with you as a pass protector at the NFL level. But moving along to J.C. Davis, the next player on the draft board here from Illinois. 6'4", 322 pounds, 34 1/4-inch arms, so longer arms than Bowry had. He was a fifth-year senior this past season, probably had his best year as a whole. Maybe you can go back to 2023, but there is a debate in that. Played more snaps in 23 and had similar production when it comes to pressures and sacks involved with his play. But the last 2 years, 1,600 snaps, a 67.5 pass blocking grade, a 77.8 run blocking grade, but a 37 run blocking, an 83.9 grade in zone in 2025. And he's made 49 consecutive starts. So he is a left tackle only, has never played right tackle the last 3 years. Really strong hips, good anchor. He's a brawler. The last place you want to find this guy is as an edge rusher. You don't want to be in the phone booth When an edge rusher goes into the phone booth and is trying to put on his Superman uniform and bust out and make a play, J.C. Davis is in there saying like, oh, you came into the wrong place at the wrong time, brother, and they're getting into a fight, and you're not winning it 9 times out of 10. Now, that said, he's really slow getting into his passing sets. He'll get beat by speed rushers all day, every day. The hand technique, kind of like Bowry, a little too wild in his passing sets. And, there is a world where, because of the pass blocking inconsistencies, that maybe he can play guard. So kind of going back to the guard tackle flexibility, he's a good run blocker, but maybe he's built to be a guard instead of a tackle, which I think is worth noting. You can also get into the Drew Shelton conversation. Now, on PFF, he is listed as a tackle. Now, I believe, if I can get to my notes quickly here, let's see, where are my notes? I have him, where do I have him? Sorry, excuse me. My notes are on my phone, and so it's hard to get through all of them quickly. Here we go. Drew Shelton, sorry. He's 6'5", 303 pounds, so a bigger dude overall. He spent 2 years as the starter at left tackle, but he has right tackle flexibility, playing 230 snaps in 2023. He's got the lower body quickness to be in a zone offense. He is much better in zone than as a gap blocker. Now, he's the one thing I like about him, his pad level is good. He doesn't lunge into his technique when kind of going after a defender. Now, he doesn't have the strength to anchor and pass pro or push guys around as a run blocker. He'll get knocked around because he's a lighter weight, 303 pounds, where he's 6'5", that's great. But when you're 303 pounds, it's not too great. It's not great at all. He's somebody that you draft based on the athletic traits, but he's 2 or 3 years away, which could lead, again, down the McKivitz road, where when they took him, they knew he was 2 years away. He didn't play for 2 years, right? And then it worked out on his now second extension with the team. So that's worth at least discussing. Of this group, I think I would lean towards taking Jude Bowry. But you have Ji'Ayir Brown here. He's been somebody who I think San Francisco has their eyes on, or at least has discussed at some points in time. You can go to you have Pat Coogan again. I think it's too rich for him. But, that's kind of up to your interpretation of what they would do. I here would almost look at, who do we have at receiver? Okay, you're good there. Okay, I think we're going to take Jude Bowry. Get your tackle. Let him be kind of a developmental guy. It's good value here. Pick 133. Take your tackle. He'll sit for a couple years, maybe a year, depending on what happens with Trent. Now I think you can still get your edge rusher with Max Llewellyn. Not a run defender. He's a speed rusher through and through. He's 6'5", 263 pounds. He'll be 24 his rookie season. He's an average athlete. Doesn't have the strength you love, but over the last 2 years, he has 12 sacks and about 51 pressures combined. So there's reasons to believe that there's more in there. And he's an Iowa guy. Niners love Iowa players. It's really inconsistent with him. He's never been hurt, which is great. I do think that if you miss on guys like Height and Cassius Howell and other kind of speed rushers, Llewellyn's not going to be a starter for you, likely ever in the NFL. But in a rotation where you're maximizing Sam O, Keon White, Llewellyn, other guys in that room, I do think he can make a lot of sense for the 49ers. I do think that, that would be an option for them, if you will. Or you can go receiver here. You haven't got many of those yet. In fact, you got none of them so far, and that can be a concern, albeit I'm not too worried about it. But let's go with Max Llewellyn. Let's get our edge rusher off the board. And that brings us to our final pick in our 3.0. Holy crap, everything's gone wrong for us mock draft. Where they didn't go edge or receiver in rounds 1, 2, 3, 4 until pick 138 in round 4. So they pushed off their needs per se all the way until the end and maximized the BPA of it all. But I want a receiver. And there was somebody who no one's talking about. I kind of hinted towards it last mock draft. So if you're here from there, you know where I'm going. And I apologize for some redundancy. But I'm taking Kevin Coleman Jr. I am letting somebody else take Jacoby Lane. I don't think he's that good. I think he's too stiff-hipped. You would have loved to have had players like Malachi Fields, Brennan Thompson for sure. But I almost believe that Kevin Coleman Jr. from Missouri is the player no one's talking about. I love, like, we talked about Antonio Williams earlier. Maybe that's the guy. I almost think Kevin Coleman Jr. can be better than Antonio Williams, where I disagree wholeheartedly with him being a 4th-round prospect. I think he can go as early as day 2. This size can be concerning. Again, not a great run blocker, but and he's a smaller player, 5'11", 174 pounds, and he's 22 years old. He's only going to be a slot receiver or a Z receiver, but he separates. He doesn't drop the football. He can get downfield. He fights for yak despite his small size. Also strong for his size. 18 missed tackles forced the last 2 seasons. He's great in short yardage, so if you want the underneath guy, he can be your dude. I just love everything he brings to the table. High effort, where a lot of the problems with a lot of the receivers San Francisco takes is consistency, hands, and effort, and run blocking. He's not going to be a run blocker for you, but he'll try. He can get yak for being small. He's somebody who packs a punch for as tiny as he is, and he separates, and he's got great hands. Like all the red flags Danny Gray had, Kevin Coleman Jr. does not. For all the issues that Jordan Watkins has had over a year, and Cowling's had for over a year or two, Kevin Coleman doesn't have. And those guys don't see the field. I think Kevin Coleman will in year 1, and I want to get a guy that I think can be a player for you in round 4, pick 139, where if you don't get a guy round 1, round 2, or round 3, I think Kevin Coleman's your guy, at least in this case. So I'm going Kevin Coleman. I have a feeling that the mock draft simulator is going to love this pick. Now we'll see what they do, but as it goes through all of its picks here, but like I'm sure a lot of you out there are going to hate this draft, and that's fine. But I think in this, I should have prefaced this. It wasn't the plan, but it turned out that way. Of when everything goes wrong, what do you do? And as the grades get pulled up, they said we should have took TJ Parker. No. Don't take TJ Parker. Whatever you do. But here is our mock draft simulator grades. Emmanuel Pregnon, number 1, pick 30 via a trade back with the Miami Dolphins. We got pick 90 also in this case. We took Emmanuel Pregnon, fixed the guard spot. We got Treydan Stukes. We could have gone safety later, but, to each their own. I could see San Francisco, like, if I were to swap 2 picks, I would swap the round 2 safety nickel hybrid with an edge rusher. And probably take my safety at pick 90 instead of 58. That would be the difference here. But other than that, you got a tackle that you love in round 4. You got an edge rusher you believe can be a nice rotational piece in round 4. Jack Endries can be a slot receiver, can be the replacement eventually for Kyle Juszczyk in a couple of years, but also can push Luke Farrell off the roster as early as this year alone, or be a nice placeholder when Kittle, or if Kittle doesn't play. You helped improve the interior defensive line here as well. Like, despite not filling the biggest needs on the roster, I love this draft. And I think sometimes we get caught up in needs. The Niners get caught up in needs too much at times. And when you talk about BPA, like there's a real case scenario. This is it. Now, they didn't love Kevin Coleman, and they're saying it's a B- and it's the bottom 35th percentile of Niner mock drafts. I would say, PFF, worry about not firing all of your people that work there, which is terrible. But I love this draft overall. Now, you might hate it. I get it. But when you see that, like if the Niners walked away with this draft, what do you say? Are you like, oh my God, I hate everything? Got your guard, you protect Brock Purdy. Got your safety nickel hybrid, you avoid having to play Ji'Ayir Brown all year again. You improved your defensive interior run defense, first and foremost, which was pretty bad towards the end of the season. But also, you got yourself a higher-end potential pass rusher if you can unlock that in Rashawn Benny. You got your tight end in Jack Endries. You got a tackle in Jude Bowry, who's a good run blocker that can sit for a year or two behind Trent and McKivitz. You got your edge rusher, Max Llewellyn, who's a speed rusher. And you got Kevin Coleman Jr., that I think can push guys like County and Watkins off the roster this year. Like, despite the grades not like being like A and A and A, I love it. Now, would I walk away round one being like a guard, a quarterback in round two, safety? Like, maybe. And I totally get that. But, sometimes drafts don't always go your way. In this case, trade back. The Dolphins said, we'll take Denzel Boston off your hands. So that is the give and take. But I think it's a good experiment to see if things don't go right on round one, how do you make up for it? And I'm trying to cope pretty hard right now for the mock draft, to be honest with you. But I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Drop your thoughts down below. This is why we're here. This is why you experiment with mock drafts each and every week. What could happen? What couldn't happen? Who'll be there? Who won't be there in each pick? I love trading back in round one. I'd love to get Denzel Boston at pick 30, if I'm being honest with you. But, what do you make of this? Do you like it? Do you hate it? If there's one pick you would change, what would it be? Mine would be taking an edge rusher at pick 58, not Treydan Stukes. But drop your thoughts down below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the show. And again, follow us on social media at 49ers_access is the X or Twitter. 49ers.access is the Instagram. And use that promo code 49ersaccess, 49ERSACCESS at SeatGeek.com to save yourself $20 off your first purchase at SeatGeek.com. Save yourself some money. Discounts are good. And as always, my name is Sterling Bennett. This has been our San Francisco 49ers Mock Draft 3.0. A little experimental, if you will. Maybe in a bad way, but we did it. And as always, folks, enjoy the rest of your week. We'll see you next time, and stay faithful.